Hey everyone, my name's Alex. I'm one of the health promotion team leaders for the Country Kitchens program, and today I'm going to share with you our Mexican chicken wrap recipe. So what I'm going to do as we go along is I'm going to point out what maybe makes this recipe a bit healthier than a more traditional version, and everything we go through today can be found in more detail in our healthy cooking guidelines. Now you can pick these up from the website. I really do recommend you order yourself a copy. Some really good information in here, all about our 5 key messages, how to healthicize recipes at home, and lots of other really good stuff there. So what you're going to need today is about 300 grams of chicken. This is 1 chicken breast here. We've got 1 zucchini that I've grated up. I'm going to use half of the capsicum. Got 2 cloves of garlic as well, and then to flavour our Mexican mix, we've got a couple of tablespoons of cumin, a couple of tablespoons of smoked paprika, as well as 1 tablespoon of ground coriander. Now that'll make up our chicken mix, and to that we will add some 4-bean mix. Now we've got the no added salt variety here. We really do recommend that you look out for the no added salt varieties because tinned beans can be particularly high in salt. Now for our fillings, we've got a couple of cups of lettuce here. I've chosen to use iceberg just for that nice crunch, but you can use whatever lettuce you prefer. Got a couple of tomatoes diced up here, 1 cup of fat reduced cheese, and then some coriander, just the leaves. You can leave the stalks behind. Now today we're going to be using brown rice quinoa mix. I've actually got the quick microwave packets. That is a little tip if you're short on time. They cook in about 40 seconds in the microwave. Otherwise, brown rice will take a little bit longer to cook just because it does have a bit more fibre than white. But we of course recommend brown for the added fibre benefit. And then for wraps, we've got whole grain variety there. You'll need about 8 for this quantity of ingredients. Now we're going to start with a little bit of olive oil in our pan. You want enough so that our spices don't stick to the bottom, about a tablespoon or so. Now we love cooking with olive oil. It's a really good monounsaturated fat, but canola oil is good as well. And I'm just going to pop my pan on a low heat to begin with. Right, now before we put our chicken in there, what we're going to do is we're going to heat our spices through, and that's really going to bring out those flavours. Now what I haven't got in here is salt, and the reason for that is that there's going to be a little bit of salt in our wraps, there's going to be a bit of salt in our cheese as well as in the beans, so there really isn't a need for us to add more salt in while cooking. So I'm going to let that heat through, and you always want to keep an eye on this because it can burn quite quickly. And to that I'm going to add those 2 cloves of garlic. Now finely diced up, but if you do have a crusher, feel free to use that. Right, now that's smelling really good, so I can go ahead and add my chicken to there. And I've just cut the chicken up into strips, and in they go. And I can go ahead and turn that pan up a little bit now that the chicken's in there. Now what you might have noticed is that I had my chicken sitting on a red cutting board, and the reason I've done that is to avoid any cross-contamination with the other vegetables that I'll be chopping on this one. So we suggest using a different colour, that way you know that's the one that you use when you cut up your meat. Now as that chicken cooks there, I'm going to start prepping my vegetables. Before I use the chopping board, I'm going to make sure to pop either a wet chucks or a wet tablecloth underneath, and what that's going to do is that's going to stop that board from sliding around, and it's going to give me better control and be safer. So I'm going to demonstrate the safe way to cut a capsicum. Now, as you can see, a capsicum's round and it can be a bit hard to get a good grip. So what we want to do with round vegetables is give them a flat surface. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that in half. Remove the core. And we're only working with half of the capsicum today. So a good trick for capsicum is to actually have the shiny side down, because it's a lot easier for the knife to cut through the rough edge. And when I hold my knife, just holding it as I would if I was giving someone a firm handshake, no fingers on the top. That actually loses quite a bit of stability. So if you like, you can have your thumb and second finger around the top of the blade, but just making sure no fingers on top. So I'm going to cut strips first. And then I'm going to just dice that up. Oh, get rid of it. Right, I'm just going to give my chicken a stir here. Just want to make sure that's cooked through, and then we can remove it from the pan and get some of our vegetables going. Right, now that chicken is cooked through, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove it from the pan before we put our veggies on, because we don't want to overcook it. All right, we can get the zucchini in now, as well as our capsicum. And as you know, one of our 5 key messages is get more fruit and veg into your meals. So we always try to pack extra vegetables in, and today we are using 5 different kinds. But you can feel free to change anything out that you like. You can substitute for what you've got at home. I'll just turn that up a little bit and get those nice and soft. And then we can add our chicken back in along with the rice and beans. So those veggies are going to pick up all those nice flavors from our spices. All right, so that's looking really good there. I can now add my bean mix. Now, what some of you might not know is that beans can actually count towards our vegetable serves, so really good source of fibre. What I've done is I've just made sure to rinse them and drain them before popping them in, just to get rid of the cloudy liquid that's usually found in the can. All that is a bit of starch and salt, so we don't need that in there. Now to that, I'm going to add my 2 cups of brown rice quinoa mix. And warm that through. And I can now also get my chicken back in there. All right, so it doesn't need too much longer, that's all cooked. So I can turn that one off and we can get ready to roll our wraps. Now this bit's really good to get the kids involved with. They can choose their own toppings and put it all together. And as I said before, we've got lettuce and tomato today, as well as a bit of coriander and cheese. All right, so I've got my whole grain wrap there. I'm going to put a little bit of lettuce on the bottom. I'm going to top that with a little bit of our chicken mixture. Bit of cheese on top. and top it with a little bit of coriander. And fold the two edges in and give that a roll. And it's okay if a little bit spills out there. Roll it up tight and you can cut it in half. So that is the finished wrap there. Now one of these wraps will give you 1.5 serves of your vegetables for the day. So you're almost halfway there to your recommended 5. Now we've made the wraps with chicken today, but feel free to swap out for any meat of your choice or no meat at all. Because we've used the bean mix, that's a really good source of protein, so you actually don't need any meat in there if you don't want any. Or if you're short on time, you can also purchase a pre-cooked chicken from the supermarket and shred that up and pop that in there instead. Thank you for watching, everyone. If you want to grab the full recipe as well as many more, then make sure you head on over to our website.